All right, we'll go ahead and get started. We still have a few more trickle in. It's raining outside, so y'all may stay inside depending on when it stops. And they're having camp out there, so we may see we have a bunch of kids come up here for camp in a minute. Who knows? But I'm going to cover this week's definitions, and then what's it? Rule six. Rule six. After that. All right. A couple of quick announcements. Again, for the new officials, I've got redshirt Juan, Antoine, Ben, um, Tyler, Charles, Henry, and Abdul. So those are all the new officials that we've got registered. Yeah, let's go. Still got a couple more to get registered here. So if you're a new official, we need y'all to try to be here on Thursdays. I know the Zoom is okay for the first part, but you're missing a good half of the thing while we're in here. Hey, y'all want to slide up so I don't have to yell? We're gonna slide everybody up so the kids can get in here. Yeah. Yeah. Um, certification exam. So make sure y'all get certification exam done. And for the new officials, for the rookies, for the first year guys, we're gonna do it together on the 21st of July at Riverland Hills Baptist Church. So that's a Monday. If you have a device, bring it. If you can't come for that day, let us know, and we'll schedule another day. The certification exam is a requirement for the high school league to do any sub-varsity or varsity games. The rating exam is a requirement by the association. Okay. All right. So that's a requirement for that. Well, hold on one second. That's not, it's no problem. As soon as I start raining, I said, let me show all these kids coming here.
Let's go for it. That's what the boys did. Okay, y'all heard that? Sure. You have to do that. This is the first time. Very good. You have adults having a meeting, just talking about doing things the right way. We can apply it. We can learn about that store camp. I understand that. As soon as the weather allows, right back outside. Let's take that a little bit. You actually can learn something about football. These are actual referees from the college level, high school level, state of South Carolina. They call our game. All right, so let's listen to these guys while they have their meetings. Back outside, back outside. Want to go with that? Yeah.
Right, no problem. Thank you. All right. So certification exam requirement by the high school league to do any high school league sanctioned games. That means sub varsity, varsity. For the new officials, we'll be taking that exam together on the 21st of July. That's a Monday at 6 p.m., the normal business time, so the normal meeting time. If you can't come that day, then let me know and we'll set up something different for you. Everybody else, do it before the rating exam. Okay. Um, the rating exam. So for the new officials, I sent y'all a link today. Let me know if you want to take it on the 26th or the 28th, both at Midlands Tech. The time on the 26th will start at 9:30. Time on the 28th starts at 6 p.m. Okay, but just let me know. And if you have a device to bring as well. But there's two. So for new officials, there's two exams you have to take. One requirement by the high school league. The other is a requirement by SCFOA, which is us. There were some questions about that today, so hopefully that kind of clears it up. Schedule updates. So I did update the schedule a little bit to reflect the changes. Also, we had a meeting scheduled for the 4th of August. Scratch that. We won't have that one. Okay. And I'll send out a new schedules with the email in the morning. Let me pull up the quiz from this past week, and we can review that. I appreciate everybody's attention Monday night when we had the president candidate speak to us. Tomorrow morning, if you want to chime in on the questions for the candidates. That'll be your last opportunity to add them to the document. And then I'll send them off to the candidates next week. And then I'll send you their responses to the questions. We have about 10 or 12 questions so far. So the quiz this past Friday. Didn't do so well on it. I told you I was gonna get a little harder each week. It's gotten harder each week, and the grades have reflected that. Okay. So we just need to make sure that we're really getting in the rule book. These quizzes, I didn't write the questions. These quizzes came from prior Charlie exams, prior rookie exams, prior Federation exams. So I say all that because these are the type of questions that you're going to see in a month. Let's go over this. Okay. Are you sure? Yeah, I mean they're fine in here. They're not bothering us.
We'll follow them along. I'm gonna have to give
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, you get a little wet. Everybody go with that. All right, Coach Cool. Hey, walk out order.
There's no way. There's no way, sir. Yeah, no problem. For those online, we're gonna let them get out real quick, and then we'll continue. All right, so it is forward pass interference if contact by B is obviously away from the direction of the pass. That's false, right? It could be illegal use of hands, but in high school, if it's obviously away from the pass, then it's not pass interference. Towels must be a solid color, but do not have to be the same solid color for each player. Towels may not be ball or penalty flag colored. That's true. All right. So you can't have towels that are yellow. You can't have towels that are brown. Other than that, they just have to be solid. So I can have a black towel. Denver can have a white towel. Chuck can have a green towel. It doesn't matter. And when we say solid colors, if they got like the old school Gatorade towels, we don't care about those either. Okay. A player remains out of bounds until returning to the field and no body part touching out of bounds. It's true. Okay. It's true. All right. When a player on defense uses a hand or arm, the hand may not be in advance of the elbow at the time of the contact or at the shoulder or below unless the opponent squats, ducks, or submarines. But why is this false? Right. So you got to read closely, right? It says may not be in advance. It has, and a true statement is the hand must be in advance of the elbow. Okay. The basic spot is the previous spot unless Rule 852. I will tell you that if you see a question that says Rule 8 or ... that's correct. They're not gonna expect you to memorize that portion. Okay, so you can just skip that part. But the basic spot is the previous spot unless Rule 852 applies for a foul by A or B. When the run or related run ends behind the line of scrimmage when there is no change of possession. That is true. A football jersey does not need to completely cover the shoulder pads and all pads worn above the waist on the torso. That is false. So the jersey has to cover. All right. So any shoulder pads, back pads, they got to cover. It's got to cover it. All right. We were 50-50 on this question. A multiple foul is one or more live ball fouls, other than a non-player or unsportsmanlike. Why is this false?
One makes it false. You got to be two or more.
Two or more. Yeah. If you have one foul, is that multiples?
Nope.
Nope. Yep. A player is no longer defenseless once the player's physical position and focus of concentration no longer meets the player, especially vulnerable to injury. That's true. That's a straight up definition. I think this has been on the exam every year for like the last 4 years, probably, or some version of it. If a substitute enters a huddle and the replaced player, excuse me, does not leave the field immediately, it is a dead ball, illegal participation foul. That's false, right? They got 3 seconds. So I come in, I tell Chuck, Chuck's coming out. We break the huddle. After 1 second, is that a foul? No. Chuck still got 3 seconds. So he's got 2 more seconds to start going off the field. And it's not, you have to be off the field. You have to start going off the field, right? You have to start going toward your sideline. That's what the requirement is. The jerseys of the home team shall be the same dark colors that clearly contrast with white. That is true. Catching is always preceded by touching the ball. Thus, if touching causes the ball to become dead, securing possession of the ball has no significance. That is true. No kick may be legally batted. That's false. So when can you legally bat a kick? Right. So yeah. So if it's towards the goal line and it's grounded, you can bat it back towards your own goal line. Or if it's in the air and there's no R player in position to catch it, you can bat it back towards your own goal line. If you block a kick, is that a bat? Or just batting? Intentionally striking the ball with your hand, right? If you block a kick, that's a bat, right? So that's yep. So that's another time that it would be illegal. A player cannot fumble before gaining possession. True, and I promise you, there's going to be some sort of questions because this ties directly into that fumble rule and muffing and everything. A scrimmage formation requires a minimum of 5 A players legally on their line at the snap. True. An offensive player, an offensive blocker is a player who's blocking or in position to block by being between the potential tackler and the runner. That's true. Actually, this is one I had to actually look up when I was writing these tests or getting the questions. I never thought of it this way, but that's actually by definition what a blocker is. Okay. Any questions about that quiz? Like I said, they're just going to get harder and harder as we go along the weeks. The 2 practice exams using class marker. One's going to be released on July 1. So that'll give you the holiday weekend if you want to do it then. The other one's going to be released on the 15th, I believe it is. But the key with those is going to be these are real life sims. So you get 1 attempt, you get 90 minutes. So don't start it and think you can come back to it later because it's going to kick you out. Okay. If you mess it up, something happens, there's a storm, the power goes out, whatever, let me know and I can go back in. I'll send it back to, let you take it again. But trying to recreate it as much as possible that Saturday when we take the rating exam. The only difference is that after you take the project exam, you will get the answers and it will tell you what you got correct and what you got wrong. So if you guess, don't, because you have to answer each question. So if you guess, that's fine because you'll get all the answers and the questions, so you'll be able to go back and look it up if you weren't sure. Okay, we'll cover the definitions and fundamentals, and then we'll turn it over to the kicks. All right. Free blocking zone, legal blocking below the waist and legal block in the back. So what the free blocking zone allows for is certain blocks that would otherwise be illegal to become legal. So what is the free blocking zone? It's a rectangular area extending 4 yards, laterally 4 yards either side of the spot of the snap and 3 yards beyond each line of scrimmage. So it's a 6x8 rectangle, basically. A player is in the free blocking zone when any part of his body is in the zone at the snap. So head, foot, those type of things. Blocking below the waist is permitted in the free blocking zone when the following conditions are met. All players involved in the free blocking zone are on the line of scrimmage and in the zone at the snap. Contact is in the zone The block is immediate initial action following the snap. So to do this, ball is snapped, you have to go straight down. It's not to take a step to your left and then try to get them. It's not to stand up and then go down. It's fire off straight down to the ground to block below the waist.
Okay, Gary, the only person may give a half a second, point two is a snap.
Yep.
Because he got a snap.
Yeah, the snapper gets a little bit of a reprieve on this because he's like Dave said, he's got to snap it. So let him snap it, and then if he takes a second, split second, and then goes, that's fine. Okay. But you don't let him stand up. Don't let him come up and then do it. Blocking in the back is permitted in the free blocking zone when the following conditions are met: by offensive linemen who are on the line of scrimmage and in the zone at the snap, against defensive players who are in the zone at the snap. Remember that zone? How many yards back does it go? 3 yards, right? So does that mean you can block a linebacker in the back if they're close and close? Yeah, you can. And the contact is in the zone. The free blocking zone disintegrates, and the exception for an offensive lineman to block in the back is not continued after the ball has left the zone. So again, 3 yards, right? And either way, there's 3 yards behind the ball, 3 yards in front of the ball. How far back do they normally stand for a typical shotgun snap? 5. So when that quarterback gets the ball in his hands, has the ball left the zone? Yes. Is the zone still there? Nope, it's gone. So it's quick, right? So it's got to be really fast, right? Fumble. A fumble is any loss of player possession other than handing, passing, or legal kick. So to fumble, you have to have what? Possession. You have to have possession. Handing. Handing the ball is transferring player possession from one player to a teammate in such a way that the ball is still in contact with the first player when it's touched by the teammate. Handing the ball is not a pass. Loss of player possession by unsuccessful execution of a attempted handing is a fumble. So I still have possession of the ball. I'm going to hand it to Dave. I transfer. I'm in possession. I give it to Dave. He gets possession. At that point, my hand comes off. Okay, like a relay with batons, basically. That's what we're doing. So at no point is that ball not in contact with a hand. Right. So that's why I say it's not a pass. And so if I try to hand it to Dave and the ball hits the ground, that is a fumble. All right. If that fumble were to roll forward out of bounds, then it's going to go back to that spot where it was fumbled. And who's responsible for the fumble? Me, because I'm handing it to him. So that means I have possession, right? I'm handing it to Dave, like in the relays. When they drop the baton, who's really responsible for the baton when they drop it? Person handing it, right? It's their job to make sure it gets in that person's hand. Same thing here. So if I'm at the 25 and I'm at A's 25 and Dave is at A's 26 and that ball hits the ground and goes out of bounds at the 27, where are we going back to? The 25. Going back to my spot because I was responsible for it. Okay. Forward handing occurs when the runner releases the ball when the entire ball is beyond the yard line with the runner's position. Excuse me. So you can forward hand it. You can forward hand the ball if you're behind the line of scrimmage, right? If A can do that. A is the only team that can do that if it's behind the line of scrimmage. So again, if I'm at the 25, I'm handing it to Dave at the 26. That is a forward handoff. Backward handing occurs when the runner releases the ball when any part of the ball is on or behind the yard line with the runner's position. Okay, so I'm at the 25. Try to hand it to Dave at the 25. That's considered backward handing. We do not have the word lateral in the rule book. You will not find it. Okay, you will not find it. So it's either forward or backwards. So if it's on the same yard line or behind, it's backwards. If it's 1 yard line in the front, then it's forward. Helmet contact, illegal and targeting. So illegal helmet contact is the act of initiating contact with the helmet against an opponent. The key is initiating contact with the helmet. So helmets can collide, they can hit each other, But if it's not initiated with the helmet, then it's not a foul. Okay. Butt blocking is an act by any player who initiates contact against an opponent who is not a runner with the front of his helmet. Face tackling is an act by a defensive player who initiates contact against a runner with the front of his helmet. Spearing is an act by any player who initiates contact against an opponent at the shoulders or below with the crown, i.e. the top portion of his helmet. All right, and this is safety issues primarily for the one that's doing the contact. So butt blocking is any player who initiates contact against an opponent who's not the runner with the front of his helmet. Face tackling is a defensive player against a runner with the front of his helmet. Spearing is using the crown of your helmet at or below the shoulders. Targeting is an act by any player which takes aim and initiates contact against an opponent above the shoulders with the helmet, forearm, hand, fist, elbow, or shoulders. Okay, so anything above the shoulders is targeting. Huddle is two or more players of the same team grouped together before a down. Hurdling is an attempt by a player to jump, i.e. hurdle, with one or both feet or knees foremost over an opponent who's contacting the ground with no body part except one or both feet. So if I'm standing on the ground with one or both feet, then you cannot jump over me. Okay, you cannot hurdle over me. If I'm diving down at your feet and I've got a forearm on the ground, can you jump over me? Yes, yes. And it looks like a hurdle, like you're jumping hurdles, running hurdles for track, basically. And if it doesn't look like that, then it's probably not a foul. Okay. Fundamentals. So free kicks. The rules for the three free kicks are the same. Exception: a kickoff or a free kick following a safety cannot score a field goal. So free kick lines are always 10 yards apart. A free kick is not repeated unless a foul occurs and the penalty exception requires a replay of the down or there was a double foul. All right. Any questions about the definitions and fundamentals that we did today? No? Dave, I don't think you're going outside. No, I'm not going outside. So I'm teaching Monday night. Brian's going to do the next 2 Thursdays and the following Monday, so I'll be out of town. But same formats. I'll finish up kicks Monday night, and then we'll start on scrimmage plays for 3 weeks, and keep powering through the definitions and everything. All right, Dave. All right. This ends the Zoom call for those on Zoom.